Everyone. So I'm just gonna make sure. Um, I think I have everything all set up. So I did a clinical shift yesterday. And so I was sitting for about 3.5 hours. I got up and moved around a couple of times, but in general, I tend to be up and moving pretty frequently throughout my day. Um, and so sitting for that extended period of time, I didn't really think about it in the moment. And then this morning when I woke up, I was like, whoa, I was way stiffer, had a lot more like joint pain, and just didn't feel that great when I woke up. Um, and what I realized is I think a lot of it had to do with that sort of sitting in the same position and just staying still. And I was going to do a stretch to kind of loosen things up and just get things feeling a little better. And I thought I'll hop on YouTube live because this is just showing real life of what I would do. You can see I'm in my closet. This is just, it doesn't have to be in a gym. You can do it anywhere, anytime. These are moves that you can do like one isolated move. You can sprinkle the different moves throughout your day, sort of whatever works for you. But I love throughout the day doing a few stretches, even if you're at work or somewhere where maybe you can't do a full workout, or you're wearing clothes that maybe are not amenable to that, but you can certainly find things to do that are moving your body that feel really good. Um, and definitely check out, I have lots of videos here. You can check out the shorts section for a lot of really quick videos that really can be done anywhere, anytime. No equipment. Most of the time I'm barefoot. Most of the time I'm wearing like comfortable clothes, but a lot of this can be even in pajamas. You don't have to have anything special to move your body. And 1 minute a day absolutely counts. A few minutes counts. Don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise, because 1 minute is better than 0 minutes. Showing up for yourself in any way like that absolutely matters and absolutely counts. So I'm going to back up and just show you some of the stretches that I would do to help my body after I do like what I did yesterday, which was that clinical shift where I was sitting a lot more than I usually am. So I'm getting myself into a child's pose. So I have my knees spread apart, my feet are my toes, big toes are together, and I'm just letting my bum go down to my heels. And then you can stretch your arms out and just let your body melt into the floor. Depending on your flexibility will determine what feels good for you, and wherever you are today is amazing. Some days you may be more flexible than others, and that's absolutely okay. And I like to, hopefully the audio will be okay, I like to rest my head down and really think about letting my armpits just sort of melt into the floor. While we're here, I'm going to talk about 360 breathing. So that's where you want to inhale really big, like you're filling your lungs up. You want to feel your ribs expanding in all directions, so forwards, sideways, and backwards. And then also on that inhale, your pelvic floor is relaxing down. And then on the exhale, it's like you're blowing out hundreds of birthday candles. Your ribs knit back together. Your abs are tightening around you like a corset. And your pelvic floor is up and in, contracting up and in. So I'm going to have you do 3 more breaths here. And on the exhale, really thinking about letting yourself melt into the mat even more. Or carpet if you're on carpet like I am. So big inhale in. Ribs expand in all directions. Pelvic floor relaxes. And then exhale. Pelvic floor is up and in. Ribs knit back together. Abs contract together like a corset. Or abs contract like they're wrapping around you like a corset. So we're gonna do 2 more. I'm just gonna keep my head up so you can hear me. So big breath in, and I'm just gonna check the chat here. Big breath in, and exhale audibly. Pelvic floor is up and in. And then 1 more breath, big breath in, and then exhale like you're blowing out hundreds of birthday candles. Pelvic floor is contracting. Abs are tight like a corset. Okay, now we're gonna add in a little bit of a side stretch. So I'm walking my hands over to the right. And so now you're still in that child's pose. You're still getting the low back opening, the hip opening. Now you're also getting a big stretch down the left side of your body. So for me, I can feel it really all the way from my left upper outer arm, all the way down my whole left side, and even into the left side of my low back. And you can just play around with how far over you're reaching. Again, throughout this entire thing and throughout all my videos, you always want to be thinking about that 360 breathing. So again, that big inhale, intentional breathing, ribs are expanding in all directions. And then on the exhale, thinking about deepening that stretch, sending the breath to that area. Pelvic floor is contracting up and in. Abs are tight. The deep core abs are tight like a corset. And I remember when I first got into stretching, hearing people say, like, breathe into the muscle or breathe into the stretch. And I would think, what the heck are they talking about? So it's all about just literally that, thinking about it, practicing that, repeating that. Okay, we're going to switch sides while I keep chatting. So now I'm taking my right hand over to the other side, and I feel a stretch. I think I was saying right before, but that was actually left. Anyway, it doesn't matter which side you're going to, but you should feel that stretch basically all the way down your arm, all the way down that side, almost into your low back, wrapping around. So like wrapping down here and then into this side. So in terms of breathing into the muscle or thinking about sending your breath to the area that's being stretched, it actually does make a difference, and you can experiment with it on your exhale, really thinking about sending the breath there and noticing how your body in that area, your muscles, ligaments, tendons, everything there really just starts to relax, and some of that length comes back. And that's why I really am always talking about the breath, the breathing. And I will link my 360 breathing video below. That is literally, the video is all about the 360 breathing I described in the beginning. But pairing that with your stretching, with if you're doing strength training, if you're doing run, like whatever it is, when you pair your breath with the other movements, it helps make everything more effective. And it also makes many functional movements also a deep core workout because you're engaging those abs as part of that. Okay. Okay, now we're going to take our, again, when I watched the live back last time, I think the view is flipped. So I don't even know if when I'm saying left or right makes sense, but so I'm taking my left hand, and you can do either side. I'm doing what's called threading the needle. So I'm putting my hand between my right hand and right knee and just letting my upper body gently relax to the floor. So this is getting a stretch. I'll show you on this part of my body, but I'm feeling it sort of all in that shoulder, behind the shoulder blade, into the what's called the thoracic spine, which is the mid part of your spine, sort of between your shoulders to just above where your low back starts. And I'll show you that in just a minute. But this can be an intense stretch. You want to make sure you're breathing through it. I find that this type of rotation is often neglected, but so helpful for functional day-to-day movements. You guys can stay in that for a couple more breaths. I'm just going to show you. So when you're getting that stretch, so the thoracic spine is sort of this section of your spine here. And when you're doing that thread the needle, I'm feeling that stretch kind of all on this side, all into this spine area, and then up into this just next to the shoulder blade. Okay, now we're gonna switch to the other side. So I'm taking my other hand and again threading the other direction. And again, just letting that upper body come down. And I'm still in that child's pose. So I'm getting the hips and the low back, but also adding in this rotation. And when I do a full body stretch, I love these stretches that combine upper and lower body and back all into one movement. I find it to be really helpful. So we'll do 3 more breaths here. Again, just reviewing that big inhale, ribs expand in all directions, pelvic floor relaxes. Exhale, pelvic floor is up and in, ribs knit back together, and your abs tighten as if somebody's tightening you up in a corset. Awesome. 2, and then 1 more big breath in, and exhale. Okay, now I'm gonna come up into a quadruped position. So this is quadruped, so I'm in all fours. My wrists, elbows, and shoulders are stacked. My hips are 90 degrees, my knees are 90 degrees, and my knees and hips are stacked. So this is this is often done in yoga. This is called cat-cow. If you happen to be, so a lot of my videos are pregnancy and postpartum. If you are newly postpartum or pregnant, you want to be really careful with the cow portion of cat-cow. So the part where you arch, that can sometimes increase the risk for a diastasis recti, which is where your abs can separate, because when you do this maneuver, you are sort of pulling things apart a little bit. So you want to be careful and not overdo that. And you always want to talk to your medical team about that. But so if you are not in that stage, or you're well into your postpartum like I am and you've healed a diastasis, you want to think about looking up towards the ceiling and really arching that back. This is with an inhale. And then on the exhale, you round that spine. Think about having like a string attached to your spine, bringing you, like pulling you up like this. So you're really in that Halloween cat mode, really hollowing out your belly. And this is with the exhale. So your pelvic floor is up and in, and your ribs are knit back together. So we're gonna practice that a few times. So this is a more dynamic stretch, meaning you're moving through the stretch. So inhale, exhale. Halloween cat, pelvic floor is up and in. Inhale, exhale. And this one is a spine stretch, but I also feel a stretch in my shoulders, especially on this cat part. If you really think about pushing that spine up, you can get a little bit of a stretch in the shoulders depending on your flexibility. We'll do 1 more. Inhale and exhale. All right, now I'm gonna just push up into downward dog. So I just moved my hands a little bit forward. You can't see, I'm off the screen, but I'm curling my toes under, and then I'm gonna press up. So I have my hands firmly planted in the mat, and my heels, you can't see, but they are not touching the floor. They're just, I'm thinking about letting them melt into the floor. And then a lot of times I like to sort of do this pedal 1 foot at a time to really get that posterior or behind the leg stretch. So we'll do a big inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale,
Exhale. Awesome. And sometimes I play around with this where I sort of wiggle around and move my body one side or the other. So you find the spots that feel really tight and you can get into those areas. It's okay to do that as long as you're not having pain. It's okay to do what feels good for your body. Sometimes I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be doing things exactly how an instructor or a coach says, which is reasonable certain times, but other times it's also okay to modify or adjust or maybe do something slightly different because that's what feels good today. Okay, I'm gonna do a couple arm stretches and then probably a couple hip stretches and then we will be done. So I'm gonna take my right arm across this way. So for anyone that wasn't watching in the beginning, I actually before I get into that, so this you should be feeling a stretch again behind that, sort of behind the shoulder blade area, and really always thinking about your breathing, sending the breath to that area while you're breathing, thinking about the 360 breathing. So I decided to do a stretch right now because I was sitting for a few hours yesterday doing I was seeing patients virtually, and I was sitting for an extended period of time, way more than I normally do throughout the day. And when I woke up this morning, my body definitely felt it. And that is, of course, a testament to why I encourage regular movement in small bursts throughout the day. But so now was the time that I was able to get my daughter's taking a little nap right now before we go pick up the big kids from school. And so I wanted to do a little bit of a stretch. And yeah, it's been fun getting on here live to show you. I mean, this is, in the closet, really quick, just something that's easy. I shouldn't say easy, it's simple. It's not always easy to show up and do it, even if it is for a minute or two, but a minute or two makes a difference. It absolutely makes a difference. And even if you can't do the whole thing right now, breaking a lot of my videos up or just learning the moves that I show you and then doing them throughout the day it's absolutely worth it. I feel like I forgot to say, I switched sides. So now I have the other arm across doing that same stretch. I feel like there's a lot of this pressure on various different platforms in terms of social media to like meet these wild expectations of like what exercise is and what counts. And I definitely felt a lot of that a few years ago when I was postpartum with my first baby, where it was really hard. It was really hard trying to find things that were relatable to do online because I had this definition in my head and I was unable to meet it. And many times I ended up doing nothing because it just felt so overwhelming. And it felt like if I can't do 30 or 45 minutes, if I can't be super sweaty and it's intense, like if I can't do that, then it's not worth it. So I'm just going to do nothing. And what I have learned over the years is that is so wildly incorrect and so honestly like hurtful thinking. I'm going to take my arm up. I'm now I'm going to take my right elbow behind my head. Keep the bicep behind your ear and get this tricep stretching. So this is your tricep. And I have my hand between my shoulder blades when I'm doing this. You can also bend to the side. So if you want to do the side bend, you can. If you don't, that's amazing too. Whatever is feeling good for you. But this gets it a little more kind of upper body into your back side area. So like I was saying, I think that when you have that mindset of what counts, and then you're not doing it because you can't meet that definition. But then, I don't know, I feel like when people say things like, okay, I'm going to do this for 1 minute, but sometimes the feedback is, well, that doesn't count, or like, why does it matter if you're only doing 5 minutes? That's nothing. But 1 minute is better than zero. 5 minutes is better than zero. So if that's what you can do, if that's how you can show up today, I'm switching sides. That's amazing. That's incredible. Showing up in a way that you can is absolutely better than zero, and your body will feel better because of it. Your mind will feel better because of it. I have proven this in myself. I've seen it ring true for my clients, my movement coaching clients. I've seen it ring true for my patients over the years, where, 5 minutes does matter and it does count. And if that's what you can show up to do today, that's awesome. So don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise, that, oh, it didn't count because you weren't sweating. But if you were doing nothing otherwise, it absolutely does count. You can see I get excited about this topic. And that, that's not to say, if you have days where you can do that awesome 30, 45-minute sweaty workout, that's incredible. But maybe that's not going to be every day, or maybe that's just not the phase of life you're in right now, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay. Doing a minute a day, it builds a foundation that you can layer on, that you can progress, that you can grow and add different activities and all of these things. Okay. Okay, I was just reading one of the comments. Okay, so now we are going to do a hip stretch, and then this will probably be the last thing. So I am getting into, again, so this is, not again, a 90-90 position. So I have my knee 90, hip 90. I'm going to tilt my pelvis forward. So thinking about squeezing your butt cheeks and tilting your pelvis this way. And right now I'm feeling a stretch down. Maybe I should turn this way so I can show you with my hand. So you saw the position from the side. So now I'm feeling a stretch down this hip flexor. This is your hip flexor on the front of this leg. And to intensify it, if you think, again, tilting the pelvis towards the wall in front of you, if you rock your hips forward, like from your knee, kind of that back knee, an inch, that will add another layer of intensity. If you bring your chin to your chest, that's another one. And then another one is to bring your arm up and over. So these are all ways to progress the stretch and intensify that front of the hip flexor. I have incredibly tight hips, and many, especially pregnant and postpartum women, do as well. When I first started working on hip flexibility, just doing that pelvic tilt to get into the proper position was enough of a stretch for me. You should never have pain, but it can be uncomfortable. And make sure you're doing that deep breathing. I'm just reading the comments. So somebody said, do you get a burning feeling over the muscle? So it can sometimes feel like a burning. I just switched sides. It can sometimes people describe it as spicy, almost like sometimes it can feel a little spicy. So I switched sides. I'm doing that, tilting the pelvis. To intensify, you can rock an inch forward, you can drop your chin, you can add in that side bend, all of that. So yeah, it can feel like a burning. Sometimes it feels a little spicy. It can feel uncomfortable, but it should not be painful. That was another concept for me that was a little bit difficult to understand until I really was practicing a lot with stretching. And I've been an athlete my entire life. So this is not like, it can be tricky to figure it out for your body. So part of that is listening to your body. Part of it is about practice. So kind of pushing that envelope, pushing the boundary a little bit to understand, okay, that's uncomfortable, but I'm okay if I'm doing deep breathing there. If I go a little more, okay, wait, that's pain, I'm gonna stop. So if you're in that uncomfortable zone where it's burning, but it's almost like a good burning, if that makes sense, and it's uncomfortable, but you're not having pain, and when you do the deep breathing, it feels like things are relaxing, then you're in the right place. If it's painful, then that's a stop. You went too far. You want to talk to, your healthcare team, all of that. But the stretching a lot of times can feel uncomfortable. And that's okay. It's learning about being comfortable in the discomfort, if that makes sense. So kind of owning that, okay, we're going to do things that are going to stretch us a little bit. We're going to feel a little uncomfortable. We're not going to push to the point of pain, but we may kind of sit in this discomfort, and you'll notice over time as you do that, your flexibility will improve. I'm actually going to do one more while I chat a little bit more. So this is a butterfly stretch. So I'm just going to bring my feet together. So my feet are together. I'm going to bring my heels closer to my body, and I just keep my hands on my feet. You can also use your elbows to kind of push your knees down, but I like to start with just letting gravity do that. And I think about, like you can see when I think about it, I'm pressing my knees towards the floor. And I will say, if you're watching me and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm up here and that's all I got today, that's okay. That's where I started too. It's not about perfection. It's about showing up and doing breaths and like breathing into stuff and practicing. And if you're one of those moms that the word exercise feels overwhelming, you are like, how do I find the time to do this? Where do I fit it in? I don't have time to even think about cooking dinner. Never mind, how am I going to exercise or show up for myself? Or you have that belief system of, like I described before, where, if it's not 30, 45 minutes, if I'm not super sweaty, if it's not intense, it doesn't count. It means nothing. That's what I'm here for. That's why I became a movement coach. And I help women, moms, get to this point where they can be outside and be active with their kids. They can have more flexibility and less pain in their bodies. It doesn't have to be at a gym. It can be simple. It can be sprinkled throughout the day. You can have confidence in your body. You can feel better mentally and physically, all with just a few minutes of movement a day. It is absolutely possible. So definitely sign up for my free 30-minute movement consultation to learn how this is possible. And because in just a few minutes a day, you can have that too. You can have that peacefulness, that confidence, that strength. And it doesn't have to be, I'm finding 45 minutes childcare to go to a gym. It doesn't have to be all of that. It can be simple and doable, but still effective in all the ways that you're looking for. So I will drop that link in the description box. I will also link the 360 video that I talked about. I hope you had a wonderful time stretching. Stretching is awesome. Movement is medicine. Thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.